Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor and glory and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to all the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with 144% sincerity, to the men, women, and children listening, learning, and to the Bayashatabbadat, the house of David. I'm Ayash Shatab with the Men of Valor, Las Vegas Camp, coming to you through the will and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, with the quick lesson, Lord willing, be edifying unto the body. Let's go ahead and get into it and watch this video. Salaki, I don't know which brother had posted this, but we got it in our group chat. But the water for the video, and we're going to go ahead and get into it.
This is scary. Listen to this. I don't care what color you are, black, white, orange, purple. You need to fucking listen to this.
I am the lab science director. I know a thing or two about food science. Now, what they have invented, when I say they, I'm talking about the genetic engineers. Not only have they found a way to put these genetically engineered traits into food crops, they've now found a way to cause food crops to grow RNA fragments that can be specifically targeted like bioweapons to interfere with the physiological processes of targeted species that might eat the food. Now, this technology is called RNA interference technology. It's relatively new compared to GMOs, relatively new. It's being touted now as a technology to eliminate the use of pesticides, because what they're saying is they can cause a corn crop to grow RNA fragments that will kill the insects that eat the corn without having to use pesticides like toxic chemicals that overload the insect nervous system and kill it from a nervous system breakdown and so on. This RNA interference technology is a pesticide technology, but it doesn't rely on pesticide chemicals. It relies on RNA fragments in the food. Now, what's disturbing about this is that this technology can be fine-tuned to target a specific race of humans who eat the food. I want you to follow me very carefully on this, because most people have never heard of this before. They've never heard of this technology. They don't know it can be targeted by race. Food crops can be engineered right now based on existing technology to cause infertility in black people alone. That technology is a reality. It's widely covered out there in the mainstream media, in the science media. RNA interference technology, widely covered. The government is at war with you. If you're black and you're watching this, the government is at war with you, and they want you to exterminate it, and they control the science funding, which means there will never be money for any genetic science of the food supply to uncover this truth. If it were there, it would be covered up like everything else has been covered up this entire time. Just like the Tuskegee experiments covered things up in the 1930s. Nothing has changed, except the technology is more advanced. The covert technology is more covert. The number of vectors through which they can kill you and cause you to have no children, cause you to have spontaneous abortions, the number of vectors is increasing. You are being targeted. And like I said earlier, to some extent, we're all being targeted. But black people are being targeted more than anyone else.
All right, there you go, as you heard it. All right. And let's go ahead and get into it. Lord willing, once again, it's edifying unto the body. All right. All right, so this is going to be the book of Deuteronomy. And we're going to start chapter 28. And we're going to start at verse 64. All right, and it reads, so lucky, let me highlight it for you. All right, it's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 64, and it reads, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even until the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, and neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. All right, because Yahweh Bashem Yahushai cut us off, all right, for being a disobedient nation. All right, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and you speckled birds whose father's line go back, all right, to a so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American. You would be the children of Israel. Therefore, you are subject to the same punishments as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay, I'm going to continue on. Verse 65. And amongst these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shalt thou sole of thy foot have rest, but Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. All right, as you heard I guess doctors say, right, that speakers say that it would cause you to have abortions, all right, and make you think to have more abortions, all right. The things that they're doing with this genetically modified food, they're farther of, all right, I believe it was basically like the rDNA, Salakia, I forgot the name of it, all right, but what this did and has done is continue to put you in a worse case, all right, giving you no sound mind to believe that you have a way out of this captivity, all right, to continue to destroy yourself. But ultimately, this was Yahweh Shai that had ordained this to happen for being disobedient. Okay, it says trembling heart. All right, so your mind wouldn't be at ease. We know and understand that your heart is your mind. Okay, so your heart would not be at ease. You would have a falling of your eyes and sorrowful mind. All right, as you were in anguish, not knowing if you will live or die. Okay. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, Salakia, and verse 66, and it reads, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. All right, because Yahweh Bashem Yahushai gave us laws, statutes, and commandments to obey to the best of our ability. All right. And at that time, he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments to obey perfectly, and we did not. So now your life is hanging in doubt, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, for being disobedient unto Yahweh Shai. All right? And it's going to be the book of Deuteronomy, and it's going to be chapter 28 and verse 48. Go ahead and highlight that, Salakia. And it reads, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. All right, so Yahweh Bashem Yahushai led us into this captivity. All right, led us into this captivity for the disobedience. He said, you shall go to your enemy for the want of all things. All right, the want of all things. Do you not have to go to the grocery store? Do you not have to go to the farmers markets? All right, most of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, have no other substance. You have to go to your enemies for the want of all things. All right, and let me go here. And this is the point. Okay, go to Ezekiel, and it's going to be 4. And 13. And it reads, Ezekiel 4 and 13, and Yahweh shall even thus say, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their bread amongst the Gentiles, and I will drive them, where I will drive them. Slakia, let me read that again. I missed a word, which is the important word, okay? And this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 4, and verse 13, and it reads, And Yahweh said, Even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread amongst the Gentiles, whether I will drive them. All right, so we're eating defiled bread. Here it is. This devil has the ability to genetically modify or basically break the cells down. Not just genetically modify, but target. All right, genetically target specific races. All right, but it's specifically going after you, Jake. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, and whose father's line belonged to the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, you are of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, here it is. The devil is targeting you. All right, so you have to understand that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, this is all the will and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, because you were disobedient. All right, and go back to Deuteronomy right quick. 28. And 48. And it reads once again, Therefore shall thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. All right, so Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai did this to you, Jake, for being disobedient. Now, this is the hunger and the thirst and the want of all things. Okay, you have to go to your enemies for your bread, so therefore your bread is defiled. All right, and this is the bread of physical bread. All right, just as you twofold, you went to your enemy for what you thought the bread of life was. All right, and these Christianity churches and that Christianity doctrine. All right, it was defiled, such as the meat, therefore that you eat of. Okay, but Lord willing, this was edifying. It wasn't meant to be that long. I want to give all honor and glory and praise unto Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai B'Hashem, Rachak Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to all the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with 144% sincerity, to the men, women, and children listening, learning, and to the Bayasha Debadat, the house of David. I'm Ayashatab with Men of Valor, Las Vegas camp. Till the next time, I say Shalom wa Abal Babal.